To afford all this unnecessary stuff, you now need what has become a staple of American finances: the two-income family. Most people may glibly accept this concept or think it's the new normal, but requiring two incomes to support one family sets forth a chain of events that not only undermines the family, but incurs an incalculable toll in terms of time, psychological stress, emotional pain, happiness, and money on the part of all family members. First, work sucks. For a lucky few, it doesn't. But for the remaining 99.8% of us, work sucks. It's tiring, it's draining, it's boring, it's exhausting, and it is a mental tax we endure to get a paycheck. It's already bad one person in a household has to do it, but when both have to do it, there is no one at home to play the supporting, rejuvenating, reparative role. Both people suffer. Both people are mentally taxed, and both come home stressed with nobody to counter this imbalance. This doesn't necessarily lead to the end of the world. But it does lead to an overly stressed family life and overly stressed family. The wife snips at the husband yells at the kids fight with each other. All of these things are normal in a healthily functioning family, but not at the level, intensity, and frequency of two-income households. Having a parent stay at home to be the anchor of the family pays invaluable financial, mental, and psychological dividends, but is forfeited when you place material things above your family's mental well-being. Second, with work comes a commute. If working as a cubicle slave for an insufferable boss wasn't enough, you get to look forward to a daily, traffic-jammed commute both to and from work. And it only gets better as commutes are getting worse every year, consuming 52 minutes a day for the average American commuter. Prorated over the course of a year, this is 208 hours, or 26 full working days you spent stuck in traffic and not with your family. Double that now, because you need a two-income family to afford all that stuff. And that's 52 days both parents aren't spending time with their kids or each other. But perhaps the worst way to look at this is what percent of your waking hour free time, non-work, non-sleep time, is wasted commuting. Assuming a 9-hour workday, 8 hours of sleep at night, and a token amount of chore time, you are spending at least 12.5% of your entire life's free time looking at somebody else's bumper sticker. But hey, at least your wife has Lululemon yoga jeans and your kids each have the new iPhone 873. Third, all this optimistically assumes your children have cars, are of driving age, or are biking to all their various pre- and post-school activities. And we all know it's more important your kids go to baseball practice, gym practice, hockey practice, theater practice, school newspaper, cheerleading camp, band camp, and the junior high chess club than sit at home with the family for dinner. This means the moment both you and your spouse get home after your exhausting commutes, you get to hop right back in that car again and play chauffeur to your children. Never mind, they too endured their own work day at school and are probably as exhausted as you. It's more important to the family's happiness and integrity that you get them engaged in activities 24/7 so they socialize with other children properly, win plastic trophies, and maybe win a scholarship for flipping over beams really well or throwing orange spheres through red rings. Everybody comes home around 9 p.m., thoroughly on edge, mentally taxed, fully prepared to go to sleep, only to do it all over again. Day after day after day, until the youngest leaves the house, in 12 years, at which time you will never have the chance to spend time with your children during their childhood, ever again. But at least you drove at least 7 Series BMW to work. Fourth, having children in pre- and post-school activities assumes they are of the age where they don't need constant adult supervision. If you have an infant, a toddler, or just some little tyke who can't be left alone, either you or your spouse has to stay home to rear the child. Thankfully, there's daycare where you can outsource the rearing and upbringing of your child while you pursue your all-important career to afford that all-important stuff. There is, however, some bad news about daycare. With the median American household income of $71,000, that implies a take-home pay of $56,800. Split 2 ways, that means each spouse brings home $28,400. Average daycare costs $12,000 per child in the United States, and if you have the roughly American average of 2.0 children per couple, that means that second income with both spouses working only really nets $4,400. Understand this, and understand this clearly. Most two-income families are outsourcing the upbringing of their own children to complete strangers, passing up on seeing their children grow up, so both parents can work jobs they don't like, while suffering commutes that keep them from their families, and stressing themselves out in the process. All for an additional $4,400, which would presumably go to buy that all-important stuff. It is truly sad most Americans value stuff more than their spouses, their families, their children's childhoods, or their own free time. When you tally it all up, this is why Americans are miserable. This is why the majority of Americans cannot afford retirement. It is because we are owned by the stuff we buy. We engage in the rat race, pursuing pointless educations for taxing careers, life-wasting commutes, just to buy stuff. Pointless, material things, while abandoning anything and anybody that really matters in life. It's the cause of the majority of divorces in the country, the majority of unvisited parents in nursing homes, and is ultimately responsible for all the country's financial problems. And to throw the burden of saving for retirement on top of Americans' inability to just keep it together only makes an already miserable situation impossible to bear. But this can all end tomorrow. If we can get rid of our desire for stuff, the whole rotten system will come collapsing down on itself. Not only will this free us from our slave masters of materialism, it will do wonders for the American family, their finances, their happiness. Not to mention, make retirement a very real possibility for all Americans. It could also, in theory, usher in a new American golden age with higher economic growth, lower debts, accelerated advancements in technology, and a simply better off society. The only problem is overcoming the innate genetic addiction Americans have to consumption and materialism. This is easier said than done because human addiction to consumption isn't a choice. It is truly genetic. Consumption is what has kept us humans alive these past 2 million years, and merely rereading the above paragraphs won't undo that Darwinistic programming. It's literally the same challenge as putting an entire bowl of food in front of a dog and training it not to overeat. It simply isn't in its nature. Therefore, we need a revolutionary line of code that will fundamentally change our psychological programming so that our frontal lobes can override our caveman brains. A catalyst that, when we fully understand and incorporate it into our thinking, will make abandoning materialism not a mentally painful challenge like dieting, but rather a clear and easy choice that we will willingly make. And thankfully, one such catalyst exists. It's all around us. It's ample in supply. And best of all, this solution to all our financial problems is free. That catalyst is your fellow man.